Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Wisdom Wednesday. My name is Kristen Gear. I am the Director of Operations and Managing Director for BNI Arizona. And every single week, I come to you providing a weekly education tip called Wisdom Wednesday that counts as one chapter education unit for watching. Thank you so much for joining me in this week's edition of Wisdom Wednesday. I have a lot in store for you today. I wanted to break down that Power of One report. But before we get into that, just a couple of reminders, guys. If you didn't see my email from earlier today, last chance to submit your Member of the Year nominations for your chapter. So this is going to be important to submit your nomination because the person with the most votes for your chapter will win Member of the Year for your chapter, and their name will get put into our big list to go in for the votes for the Member of the Year for BNI Arizona. So this is a really big deal, guys. So if you could all please make sure to submit your votes before 7 p.m. tonight, that would greatly be appreciated. Our save your date, because our annual award celebration is Friday, November 19th from 9 to 10:30. It will be online via Zoom. This will be the last year that our award celebration will be online. Next year, we'll have an amazing in-person live award celebration. So stay tuned for that. Some really amazing things are coming your way, guys. We have our East Valley Mixer tomorrow night, and the chapter with the most participation is going to win an amazing prize. So make sure to check out that. And we have our West Valley Mixer coming up on Thursday, November 18th, and more details to come. We're still coordinating the location information, but save the date. We will have a West Valley Mixer on Thursday, November 18th. All right, guys, so going into today's Wisdom Wednesday, which is all about the Power of One. Now, I send you guys out the Power of One report every single month, and it updates every month with new information from the prior month. Now, I don't know if you guys have looked, but there's multiple tabs on that report that are pretty interesting, and I include a lot of information in the details in that email, which I know it's a long email. Not a lot of people read all the details. So I wanted to make sure that we share all the information with you guys in what this report means and what's it all about and how you guys can utilize this report to take advantage of setting goals for BNI. So here is the beginning, guys. So the first tab on the Power of One report talks about the scoring. So as you can tell on the Power of One, there are different colors when it comes to how it ranges on the report. So right here on this screen, it'll kind of give you the breakdown of for the green, the yellow, the red, and the gray. So the percentages in each of the different columns. So the first column is attendance. We want to make sure that we're attending the meetings. And as you can see right below that, it has some additional details about attendance. You get half the points for any lates or substitutes. Yes, your attendance piece, as far as the chapter attendance, when we're reporting the percentage of attendance, subs do count towards having that perfect attendance for the chapter, but it does deduct some points on the Power of One. We always want to make sure that we are there physically. It's always best to build the visibility in the chapter when we are there every week. I always viewed it as my #1 client of the week. That was where I gained all of my referrals and all of my business. So I made sure to schedule around that weekly meeting because that was my #1 sales meeting of the week. So make sure that we plan ahead too, guys, to make sure that we are never getting 0 points for being absent. We have lots of resources. The BNI Arizona subpage is available. Contact other BNI members, clients, friends, family, and a really amazing substitute would be a potential visitor for the chapter. That way they can experience BNI and be able to sub for you at the same time. The next is referrals. We're going to go over in depth the details of what would the goal look like to get in the green, yellow, red for the power of one? So we're going to touch on that in just a little bit. Visitors is the next section. We always want to make sure that we are inviting visitors, sharing that BNI opportunity with other business professionals. One-to-ones, you guys know, BNI is all about building relationships. We want to make sure that we are continuing to do that with scheduling those one-to-ones. And the awesome thing is it doesn't just apply to members in your chapter. So one-to-ones cross chapter do count, guys, towards your activity. So make sure if you are meeting with members in other chapters, make sure you're logging that information using the cross chapter feature in the app. And then chapter education units. We covered a lot on chapter education units in last week's Wisdom Wednesday. So if you missed that edition, go back and check it out and see what all qualifies for chapter education units. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, as it states at the very bottom on this slide, is the averages are calculated on a 6-month average. So yes, a new report comes out, but that just shifts that 6-month average each report. So it's never going to show you just on that individual month. On the power of one numbers, it's always going to be on a 6-month average. So if your goal is to be in the green or be in the yellow or have an increase, you'll want to look at your numbers over the last 6 months to gauge how many referrals, one-to-ones, chapter education units you'll need to bump up your score to that next level. On the next tab is the summary for BNI USA. So this chart will tell you the averages of how many members represent each of those scores all over the US. So as you can see, there's 434 members that hit 100 out of 100 points on the power of one last month, which is incredible. And I'm going to share a little bit of recognition for the members in our specific region that made it in that 434 member range. So congratulations to you guys. But this gives you the percentages and the averages of what it looks like across the entire US. So the goal would definitely be to strive to get just a little better. If you're low on one-to-ones, strive to get at least one more one-to-one per month to average to keep increasing that score every single month. And this is what it looks like on the power of one. So it'll give you different colors. It doesn't mean that a member is good or bad. This is definitely not a negative report, guys. So this is strictly to set goals for yourself. The more you put into BNI, the more you will get in return. So the members that you see a lot of times in the green, the yellow, they are putting a lot into BNI. So they're also getting a lot out of BNI as well. They're getting a lot more back in return because they're putting a lot more time and effort into being able to pass referrals and bringing visitors. So bringing visitors is huge, guys. The one-to-ones, one of the tips about one-to-ones is if you schedule it around your weekly meeting, then you'll always get that at least one-to-one per week average. That way you're already meeting with your chapter, and this can be in person, this can be on Zoom, this can be over the phone. It doesn't have to be a certain way, but we have a lot of tools available in BNI to be able to prepare yourself for those one-to-ones as well, such as the gains exchange. We have the one-to-one questions. We have so many amazing things that you guys can use to strategically build those one-to-ones to gain more referrals, because the more one-to-ones that you have, the more relationships that you build, which in turn equal more referrals. And then of course, what we're all here for is more closed business. That is the end game, guys. And then chapter education. It's one of BNI's core values is lifelong learning. We're always wanting to learn more to earn more. So make sure to check out BNI Business Builder. We have lots of podcasts. I sent out the book list last week of some amazing books that were recommended by leaders from across the valley. So check that out. And let's make sure to gain those additional chapter education. It's one of the sole reasons why I created Wisdom Wednesday a few years ago. So I've been doing these videos every single week for a couple of years. And the sole purpose was to provide a video so that way every BNI member could gain that one chapter education per week to be in the green on the Power of One in that column. So make sure when you're watching these, go right into the app and record that one chapter education because it goes a long way. Another tab on the report are the monthly changes. So I highly encourage leadership teams, if you are not already, I would highly recommend to do recognition around the monthly changes because we have amazing members that have had increases from month to month. And this tab will actually show you what those changes are from month to month. So even though the main Power of One report will give you a 6-month average, this monthly changes report will give you what month to month those changes are, which is really cool. And the 100% Club. So congratulations to everyone on this list. It takes a lot of work, guys, to be on this 100% club. So out of those 434 members, we have about 20 members here in BNI Arizona that hit that 100-member club. They are also recognized in a separate tab on that Power of One report. You guys are amazing. I also put in their sponsor list. So this is how many members that they've sponsored over the past year. And then how many months in a row they have been in the 100% club. So they had to hit all 5 areas at a total of that 20 points to get these this 100% every single month over the last 6 months. So we've got Miss Julie Jones 11 months in a row, Kelly Weston 11 months in a row, and Miss Robin Victor 11 months in a row. Congratulations, ladies. That is a lot of hard work and dedication. You guys rock. So here are some monthly goals, guys. Like I said, use this report as goals. If you want to get more out of BNI, look to see where you want to increase your participation in BNI. So the monthly goal would always be to get 100% on attendance. Make sure that you're there at the meetings. And if you can't make it, always plan to have a substitute to fill in your spot because visibility is key and how you show up is so crucial in BNI. One-to-ones, the goal would be to have an average of one one-to-one per week. Like I mentioned earlier, schedule it around your weekly meeting. That way everything's already set for the week. Chapter education units, the goal is the average of 1 per week, guys. If you just let alone watch this video, that gives you 1 per week. But every hour that you spend learning and earning more, that equals 1 chapter education in addition. Visitors, sharing the BNI opportunity with 1 visitor per month will get you that monthly goal. And referrals, passing referrals. When you're having those one-to-ones, at the end of that one-to-one, guys, make it a goal to, at the end of the one-to-one, be proactive with being able to connect each other with a connection or a referral from your conversation from that one-to-one. And as a reminder, guys, your monthly numbers end when your chapter's last meeting of the month ends. I'm going to repeat that because this can be confusing because it's not based on the day of the month. It's all based on the meeting of the month for your specific chapter. So each chapter is different. So the monthly numbers end when your chapter's last meeting of the month ends. Now it gets even more confusing during the holiday time because if your chapter takes a week off, let's say your chapter is taking off the week of Thanksgiving, that means that is not an active week. So your last meeting of the month is going to be the week prior to that, unless you meet on a Tuesday, because the last day of the month does fall on a Tuesday for November. But any other chapter meetings, that your last meeting of the month is going to be the week before Thanksgiving. That's when your monthly numbers are going to end. Because in BNI Connect, when a chapter marks a meeting as no meeting in the system for a holiday, all of the numbers that were supposed to go in for that specific meeting automatically shift to the next active meeting. So this is even more important in December if your chapter is taking off 2 weeks around Christmas and New Year's. You're going to want to make sure to watch those monthly numbers, because then you're only going to have the first 3 weeks in December to get in your December numbers. So make sure to watch out for that. Check the calendar when the last active meeting is for the month for your chapter, because anything that is marked as a holiday in BNI Connect, all of the data submitted for that particular meeting automatically shifts to the next active meeting. So make sure to keep that in mind. And now I gave a little bit of an average, since the power of 1 is a 6-month average. You can actually view your own personal numbers in the personal PALMS report under chapter reports. That way it'll actually break down all of the referrals, all the one-to-ones, all the chapter education units. You can see in chunks of what you did each specific month. But at the very bottom, it'll give you your 6-month average. And so here are the averages you need to watch for to be in the green for each of these areas. So for attendance, you need to be at 94 to 100% when it comes to the attendance for the 6-month average. For one-to-ones, to be in the green, you need between 17 and 24 or more one-to-ones in that 6-month average. And so that goes same with chapter education units. You need 17 to 24 chapter education units or more in the 6-month average to be in the green. For visitors, you will also need to have 5 to 6 visitors in attendance to your meeting. And this is only for your chapter meeting, guys. So cross chapter visitors do not count, because it actually hurts your chapter's visitor to member conversion ratios in the reports in BNI Connect. So cross chapter visitors are definitely an amazing display of Giver's Gain, but they do not count towards the monthly averages as far as the power of 1 visitor numbers. It's strictly for visitors that visit your own chapter meeting. And referrals, average of 17 passing, on average 17 to 24 referrals in that 6-month average. That will also get you in the green. So you can screenshot this information, guys. I'm happy to send it to you if you want the averages to know exactly what to shoot for in that 6-month average to be in the green on a consistent basis. And like I said, those numbers can be viewed in the personal PALMS report in BNI Connect in the reporting section. Every member has access to that. You'll just go to reports, chapter, and on the left-hand side, look for the personal PALMS report, because then you can view your own personal information there. Thank you again so much for joining me for this week's Wisdom Wednesday. And remember, guys, to record 1 chapter education unit for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your numbers increase over next month's Power of 1 report. And if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful week.